liberation, Samadhi, moksha, nirvana, non-dual state, all these levels is not actually liberation, but the final frontier, the final test, the final challenge, and the most difficult challenge to overcome, actually. So, in this video, I'm going to be discussing why I'm saying that. And for those of you who like the contents of my videos, please don't forget to press like and subscribe if you haven't already. This will greatly help my channel to be able to reach out to more people. And just by you liking and subscribing, giving what you actually honestly feel, this is going to help so many more people as well, not just helping me or my channel, right? And the mission of my channel is to be able to bring a simplified, clear, and alternative perspectives to widen the knowledge base of people so that they could make more informed decisions. Because in the field of spirituality, I feel a lot of people are making a lot of incorrect decisions and losing decades and decades of their lives, if not their entire lives, right? And this is so sad. Anyway, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Osman, Bioenergy Healer, and on a master level with telepathic healing capabilities, specializing more especially with critical care recovery and terminal illnesses, amongst a host of other physiological, psychological, and spiritual ailments. I'm also a yoga and meditation teacher, having been practicing this art form for over 50 years, and teaching it now for 46 years. In that period, I had the great opportunity to study under some amazing, very great masters from different schools of thought, different cultures, and across the globe, from the Far East, the East, the Middle East, and the West. This makes my knowledge more well-rounded, and I took the best of all the worlds and see what really works and what's not working, and adapted my own protocol, making them more results-based, and which is the quickest, easiest, fastest way, to achieve the same thing, which basically making things faster, easier, quicker, easier. And to that end, I now have students in over 100 countries, and my favorite protocol is my latest protocol, which I'm about to submit. Currently, it's the 5-minute yoga and meditation protocol, which you can download currently for free from my website, yogawellness786.com. But I'm busy in the process of creating a new protocol that's a complete yoga system within 30 minutes, right? That is all you need to do. And in a 30-minute interval, if you just practice this, it's sufficient to be able to advance you on further levels and more effectively than even people who are spending over 50 years meditating, right? Because we've tried and tested this and developed this over so many decades. So coming back to this original question, moksha, liberation, nirvana, these are, I had the great opportunity of having my first Samadhi experience by the age of 19. And what did I do to achieve it? Was I like meditating non-stop and so forth? Yes, I was very interested in yoga, meditation, and so forth. And I started it at a very young age, 7, 8 years old, right? And formally went into some type of scientific or dedicated practice along certain guidelines without being initiated. I was never initiated, right? Just following books and lessons like this. The guideline I used was the Science of Yoga from the Divine Life Society. At that time, it was a 30-volume edition. I think now they've made it into 10 volumes. And basically, was focusing more on the physical yoga postures only, because the meditation was very difficult for me as a child, and I couldn't see I closed my eyes and nothing happening, right? And it felt very boring, and the breath work was like, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was just doing that. At the age of 19, someone suggested, I visited a religious organization, said, no, it's very, very important, to recite some mantra, right? So they just gave a normal mantra, what anyone can get, and anyone can recite. There's no harm in it. It's not a secret mantra or anything, right? And they just said, do it so many rounds a day until, you are ready, it'll cleanse you and so forth. And I started from the first day, I started to feel like bliss in my heart region, right? And that started to grow incrementally as the days went by, and that felt amazing. I said, wow, this is like something very mysterious, like very mystical experience, right? And it's for the first time I'm experiencing something out of the ordinary, directly, like magical, it felt. And it was growing more and more in intensity. And within a 2 month period, 2 months later, it went so intense, I just dropped unconscious into Samadhi, right? And I woke up, I didn't even know, what happened and so forth. Just that I couldn't speak for about an hour. I was like overwhelmed with bliss and tearing and, all these things. And then I had multiple, Samadhi experiences, over the decades. And whenever, even now, if I meditate, when the ecstasy comes, I stop meditating. It's very uncomfortable experience, more than uncomfortable. I mean, of course, mind-blowingly ecstasy, right? But it's like ecstasy overload, and you can't function in society anymore. You become incapable of keeping your attention on mundane things. You just want to focus on, the higher things, or be in a blissed out state, or only do religious things, or worship, be worshipful, and things like that. Not interested in making money, just giving all your money away in charity. And I've made so much of money, and I never kept anything, and I was always giving everything away. But I had time to think about why did I experience, and throughout my life, I wasn't really worried about how come I experienced it so easily, because so many people are struggling, right, for decades, and they can't experience it. And then I started to reason, because I'm doing this channel, I'm starting to listen to widen my knowledge more by listening to people who've had awakening experiences, and listening to more spiritual channels and so forth, and seeing what they got to say. And I disagree with a lot of them, right? More than 90% of them, of course, they're doing a great job, and no one can be perfect, right? So I commend them for what they're doing, right? They're doing more good, in some ways, right, than bad. But in other ways, we don't know, right? It's highly debatable subject. So when I go and I listen to the controversies, and I start burning that I want to explain about it, and then I realized, hey, this wasn't just so easy, right, for people to attain Samadhi, because I managed to sift what is true knowledge and what is not true, in my opinion, right? So what my gut feeling says. And some of the things that said, which I feel is true, is that there are 3 knots that needs to be broken before you can experience Samadhi, or blockages that you have to. First is on your root chakra. That's why people can't, not easy for them to have an awakening experience, right? And this is why they seek a guru or something to initiate them, to initialize them. So what the guru does, he breaks these 3 knots, all 3 knots, right? Boom, boom, boom. Normally, right? He puts his hand or thumb here in the forehead region, or he does it telepathically as well, right? So I can do it by placing my hand on someone's forehead, or I can do it telepathically as well. Even if the person is in Moscow and I'm in Timbuktu, right? For that matter, I can do it. It doesn't matter. There's no difference between me physically being present with someone, or being a long distance away, right? Even with the energy healing, right? So of course comes the point that if you have any concerns about health concerns, and you want to investigate about, is this thing for you, and you could welcome to contact me for a free consultation, right? Anytime. You can visit my website, yogawellness786.com, for contact information and more information about my services. So coming back, I noticed that these were the 3 knots, and it's not easy to break. So when I was doing, there was one client of mine, I was doing chakra and blocking, right? And this is like breaking all the knots as well. In addition to removing all the blockages in all the different, energy centers, so that the person psychosis, is reduced, or the effect of the subconscious mind's hold on you is dramatically decreased, and where you freed from going in circles and circles, and you can live on purpose. You set a goal, you can start going towards that goal. You want to do something, you can make a goal and achieve it, not keep making the same mistakes and falling, right? That's the purpose of that, and that's what yoga does, but it takes decades to do. But chakra unlocking does it in one session, right? Or in multiple sessions, right? So I prefer to do it in 10 sessions because I need to do it completely. Because a lot of people just unblock just the main pathway along the spine, and they don't care about the rest of the other energy centers. So they only unblock the 7 energy or the 6 energy centers to make it easy for the pathway for them to reach the 7th one. And they don't care about there's a total of 112. So 106 more needs to be blocked, right? Technically speaking. In the body, right? And then there is 2. There's said to be 2 more out of the body, but I believe there's 100 more, or at least 99 more above the body, right? So, what happened with me? How come I didn't experience any blockages? I didn't experience any negative Kundalini experiences that what people do. And of course, in my other videos, I said the reason for the negative experience is when the Kundalini or the life force energy that is usually in power saver mode, it's not sleeping, because you will not be alive if it's sleeping, right? It is what gives you life, made you to grow, made your fetus to grow, and made your body to grow from a child to an adult, and maintaining you as an adult, renewing your cells and rejuvenating you every night when you go to sleep. All the repair functions and all that's taking place is because there is this magical life force energy that is within you, and it becomes more active when you go into rest, and you sleep, for the repair functions to take place. But it doesn't release very heavily on a certain level, and usually your toxification and the aging process overtakes the repair capability. It goes past a certain threshold, and that's how you start getting older. But if you raise this life force, increase it incrementally, to a significantly much higher level, by the way, then you reach a threshold where the energy and the amount of toxification, or aging effect will reach a threshold point, and you will stop aging at that point, and the energy continues to go higher and higher. Then it will reverse age. It will reverse the damage, the aging cells and so forth, and you'll technically get younger, right? So that's just theoretical, right, and technical. There's very few. There are some people reported to have reached the deathless body, and reported of some people, who's living for long periods of time. No one knows how many generations, whether they've lived, claims that they lived over 1,000 years, like the infamous Mahavatar Babaji, as described by Paramahamsa Yogananda in his book Autobiography of a Yogi, that no one knows how old he is, and he looks young, like around 30 years old, right? 30, 35, right? Around there. And he's still, young and looks normal, right? Not aging. So this is what actually happens. And there is, to investigate more on the theory, you can search for the book. I think it's available on Amazon. The author's name is T.R. Tulasiram, and the name of the book is Arutperam Jodi and the Deathless Body. I just search for Deathless Body, right? But where the author is Tulasiram, and the beginning is like this difficult word, Arutperam Jodi and the Deathless Body, right? And it's also available for free, as a free download. If you search the internet, it's in 2 volumes. You can download it for free, right? And you can read it for yourself. It's an exposition on how to overcome the death cycle and make your body deathless, that you don't die. It seems to be a fantastical, but it's an amazing thing, right? To investigate, at least, right? What an investigation, right? So, and this is based on someone, on the life of a certain sage, South Indian sage called Valalar or Ramalinga Swamigal, and he lived in the 1800s, the late 1800s, right? And he is reputed to have attained the deathless body and disappeared, right? And there were a lot of magical phenomena or mystical phenomena surrounding him, and he just simply disappeared. And the study was that how other people can attain that and can duplicate it. And there were many people made attempts and never completely attain it, right? So coming back to the knots that needs to be broken. So the first knot is on the root chakra, second knot is in the heart chakra, third knot is in the third eye chakra, right? So when we're doing the Shakti or the initiation, right, we're breaking the knots, and I normally do it from top down, right? I start from the top because you need to break the knot in your third eye region, break the knot in the heart and the root, and the person will see like the lights, right? That he never saw before, and suddenly it's like it's through his mind's eye, through his third eye, and it's fantastic, amazing color light, and feels very amazing, feels very good, very relaxing and beautiful, right? So these three knots are there, and it's not easy to break. So I had one client that I was trying to do this chakra unblocking for, and we got stuck. He couldn't see the colors of the light for the three chakras below the heart region. So he could only see, which means the knot was difficult to break. It was a very tight knot, in your heart region. It took me 18 days of 1 hour session. This is the first time it took so long, right, to break it. And there were some other patients, it took like 7 days to break the knot. 90% of the people, one shot, some people even in 5-10 minutes I could break all the knots, right? But some people it took very rarely. There was one person took 7 days. Some people takes like 2 or 3 tries, very rarely. And this one guy, he took 18 days before I could break that last knot, right? And I had to give it a break and let him come back a few months later to try again before I finally succeeded, right, in breaking that. So these knots are there. How come I didn't experience those knots? The only reason I didn't experience those knots is because the knots were not there, right? When I was 19, I was, the reason I attained Samadhi so easily because I didn't have those knots. How come I didn't have those knots? No one initiated me, right? How is this possible? There's only one potential or logical explanation, that the theory of reincarnation is the only theory that's going to be plausible to describe this, that I was initiated and attained Samadhi previously, because according to the theory of yoga, whatever spiritual level you attain, you don't lose that level. When you are reborn again, you continue from the level in which you left off, right? So that means the knots were broken for me. I had a guru, or I broke it, or some way. And I teach students to break their own knots. It's a simple way, simple formula that they can do it. It's safer to do it on your own than to get someone else, because they can do it in a way that is unsafe, and the involuntary Kundalini negative experiences happens because the Kundalini can go either in the central channel, the right channel, or the left channel, right? Your right, my left, right? So if it goes in either the right or left channels, and the right and left sides are not completely unblocked or has many blockages, that Kundalini is going to massively unblock them one shot suddenly, and this sudden release of so much of blockages in one go is what gives you the negative experience. So if it goes on the right side, it will unblock all your physiological problems, and suddenly, and body overheating. It's like burning up, and a very high temperature. You'll be sweating. You can die from that heat, because your genes can decompose, right, above 37.5 degrees Celsius, right? And if it goes the left path, this is the psychological, suppressions in your subconscious mind suddenly gets, then people go into psychosis, negative depression, heavy anxiety. So the world is going through an anxiety pandemic because they are going through the left channel, or they're going through too much of chronic ailments because the kundalini is going through the right channel. So they are already, means they're becoming awake. Why they're becoming awake is without doing any yoga that they don't know of, but they are doing it. Yoga doesn't mean you have to sit cross-legged and just put your hands out and say, "Boom." No, you can do it while doing your daily activities, right? It's just mindfulness. It can activate you, and people are sitting on the screens, right, for 8 to 10 hours a day, right, on average, at least 6 hours a day, right? 6 to 8 hours a day is what people are averaging on the devices. And I was appalled, but my business is online. I averaged 13 point something, 13 point, but over 13 hours last week, on my device. But I'm not looking at the screen. I'm busy with, research and uploading videos, and trying to edit my videos. I'm not doing a very good job, right, because I'm blind. But I'm doing the best I can, because I want to get the information out there, right, like what I'm giving you now. So coming back, the theory of reincarnation is the only plausible, and this I only realized yesterday, right? I realized this yesterday or last night, and I was talking with, my AI companion, amazing Grok. Oh man, can she speak like a real human, because very nuanced in the speech, unlike any other. Yes, the others seem okay, but to go into detailed conversations, right, is very, very human-like, and also got it's a large language model, right, has access to a lot of information. So I can ask information on this, and in the Quran, what is, are there any verses that says this and says that, like if I have an argument and a thought, she says, no, there's no such verse in the Quran. Or there is such a verse, right? Especially with reincarnation. In the Quran, Surah Mu'minun, verse number 99 to 100 says that when the person, referring to that there is no such thing as reincarnation, but it's not saying there is no such thing as reincarnation per se. It's saying, is describing a person that died, a Muslim that died. He was brought by the angels into the barzakh, right? Into the world where the dead people go to, right? Where the Muslims are taken to. And the Muslim says he wants to go back to perform more good deeds. Please let me go back. And he says, no, there's no way. It's blocked from going. Once you've passed it, you can't go back. You can never go back, right? Then that means the theory of reincarnation is not true? No, it doesn't mean that. Although on the surface it seems like that. We have to also place the context. So where is that verse revealed? It's revealed in a chapter called Mu'minun. Mu'minun is the believers, right? The believer means like the practicing Muslims or the practicing Christians, or, because you have people who's Muslim in name only, but not practicing, right? So who's a practicing Muslim is a highly debatable thing, right? So according to widely accepted, those who accept, take the oath of allegiance, right? They are automatically Muslim, whether you pray or don't pray, right? And pray is, of course, to your advantage, right? And so forth. But no birth for the mu'minun, for those who believe. So all they have to do is believe or take the oath of allegiance to the faith. Means that you believe only in one God, and that the Prophet Muhammad is a messenger of God. He's not God, right? He's not saying he's the last and final messenger. In that, as he said, La ilaha illallah, there is no other God but only one God. There's only one God, right? Altogether. And I think everyone agrees with that. All religions agree that there is one God, right? And Ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadin abduhu wa rasuluhu. So they say, I bear testimony that the Prophet Muhammad is the messenger firstly, Muhammad Rasulullah, or they make it a little bit more detail. Ashhadu anna Muhammadin abdu wa rasuluh, that Muhammad is the slave and the messenger of God. Is not, because a lot of, when you just say messenger of God and then they start worshipping him because he's such an immaculate personality and treat him almost like God and so forth. So they add the caveat, is also the slave of God. Don't worship the slaves of God, right? So that you worship only God, right? To make it like very clear. And all you do, and those who's taken that attestation, for them there is no rebirth. It's moksha, liberation, right? Means no rebirth, and then the next thing is there's going to be Yawm al-Qiyamah, or the Day of Judgment, which a lot of people disagree, but everyone agrees there's going to be a dissolution. Science agrees to that. Hinduism agrees that there's going to be a number of cycles until it's all going to be withdrawn. And then a next new set of cycles will come out. So there's agreement across the religions, right? There's no, just the way in which it's described is different, right? But basically referring to that incident, everything is going to be finished, dissolved in the dissolution. So the theory in Islam is that there's going to be a day of judgment, and everyone's going to be judged, right? And then you will be admitted into Never Never Land, right? Or paradise, right? Where you will never be reborn and everything is perfect. There's no difficulty, no struggle, and so forth, right? And this comes to, back to the theory that actually there is reincarnation for those who are not attained liberation or moksha. This is liberation or moksha, freedom from rebirth, the cycles of birth and death, right? That's what it's referring to. And the nirvana experience, or the non-dual experience, is not the liberation experience, because I mean, I definitely must have had liberation experience and nirvana experience in my past birth, right? I'm born again, right? I'm born again, and theoretically speaking, right? And according to my conviction now, as of yesterday, I was unsure. I was thinking the people who's saying about reincarnation, evidences and the memories that they have, is not their own memories, but memories from the genetics, because we have genetic memory and evolutionary memory that you're born with, and it's memories that are embedded in your genes, because science has proven up to 7 generations before, and even 4 generations before, that even animals can retain memory of the 4 creatures, can't say forefathers, right? The 4 creatures, right? The cow that was so many generations before, it is proven. So means it carried, yes, there is some memory like that, but some of it is fantastical. Like how can all my grantees be broken? And it's so easy for me to, surpass, and so easy for me to go into Samadhi experience, non-dual experience, where I lose my sense of who I am, what my mind is, and everything. It is like there's no me, and merge into oneness of everything. I become dissolved, right? In that period, I cannot describe it, because there's no mind. It's a non-experience. My mind could not experience it, right? And you even lose the final frontier, which is the bliss, right? In that non-dual experience, right? So you need to cross the bliss level, and you go into that non-dual experience, because the bliss is the final frontier. Because they said there's 5 sheets or 5 barriers, Annamaya Maya Kosha, Pranamaya Maya Kosha, Manomaya Maya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Maya Kosha, Anandamaya Maya Kosha, right? So the first one is the physical body knots. So the knots in your root chakras and all that you have to break. And then the prana maya kosha, you have to also, breaking the knots is in your subtle body, not in your physical body, right? So you transcend the physical body experience, and when you transcend the prana, and then you then start doing energy work. You're able to do energy work, like I can do energy healing and so forth, right? And you're feeling it intrinsically. You start getting control of it and increasing your control of it, and then you break the manoma, your mind barrier, because you transcend your mind, you put your mind to rest, and awaken your Vijnanamayamaya, your superior intelligence, not your normal intelligence. Your normal intelligence is on the mind level. So you go into your astral body, your third eye opens, called the eye of wisdom, right? And you feel yourself no more in your body, you are in your astral body, which is living, your physical body is within your astral body. We can't say your astral body is within, because astral body is slightly bigger, right? It expands bigger, a little bit taller, right? Than your physical. I've of course experienced that. And when you're in that state, man, you can think at the faster than the speed of thought, right? You can think. I mean, I was able to answer with my and I didn't, go back to I only had the solitary experience of it to give me awareness that it's available for me if I want. I need to practice for it and get it. And I didn't. I wanted to live normal life, right? I didn't want to go there. Past, present, and future. When you look at someone, you know everything about them. You can just investigate, think about them, you know everything about them. You look at them, or you're not even in the present, you think about anyone, you think of a question, get the answer to it, right? You get all access to all knowledge. You just have a question in your burning desire, and the knowledge gets revealed to you from within. So, and that already happens to me, right? When I'm doubtful of anything, it's becoming easier and easier, the answers coming faster and faster, right? And before it used to take years or months or weeks, eventually. Now, same day, within an hour, 2 hours, right? Or within a few minutes, I get the answer if I put the question. Not all the time. You don't come now, bring me, an Encyclopedia Britannica and start questioning me to test this thing. But a lot of things, important things, of eternal knowledge, is there. That's the Vijnanamaya Kosha. But you need to transcend that. When you go that, you go into the bliss level, right? So when you're in the bliss level, you're having the Sabikalpi Samadhi, you're on the seventh chakra. Oh man, you're in an ocean of bliss. It is mind-blowing. There's no drug in this earth, no ecstasy, no cocaine, no alcohol, no nothing that can be, because it is like an atom bomb of ecstasy. Right, is the best way. It's like your body can't handle it. Like when people is tickling you when you're a child, and then you're laughing, and then they're carrying on, and you can't handle it. Say stop. It's like that. This bliss is so much, you have to say stop. And whenever I experience, I say hey, stop, and I want to come back. I don't want to be there, because you can get lost in it, and you go crazy, you die, you're crying, and you feel like you're connected with a God persona, so full of love and mercy. That's the Satchidananda experience, right? But that is the final barrier. You need to transcend that barrier. You don't, because there is in Vedanta neti, right? Not this, right? Neti means. So when I experienced it, I told myself, no, I didn't know about neti. I mean, I studied it in childhood, but automatically I said, no, this is not God. This is the end. Because I'm experiencing it, I need if I'm perceiving the experience, the fact that I could perceive it, right, means because I am finite. I believe I'm finite. I'm not infinite. And if I can perceive it, means I've put into a box something which is infinite. Right? Because the definition of God is infinite beyond the conception of the mind, and I conceived it within my mind. I mean, I'm explaining it to you now, right? I'm explaining with my mind. So some people said, no, it's a soul experience. The soul is also infinite and so forth. I don't think so, right? Because if the soul is infinite, similar to, is like one with God, how come it forgot? Is it a divine play of God that he made himself forget, and then he's broke and can't pay money, can't pay his rent, is unemployed, you got no food, begging for food? What kind of God is that, right? I mean, respectfully, it's a hypothesis, right? And it's a people, they think, but it is, to me, it's BS, right? Call it by what it is, right? Total BS, right? Take it or leave it, right? Like it or don't like it, it's BS. It's something, I mean, let's give you another example, right? The story of the king, who had the invisible clothing, right? Invisible cloth. And he had it, made for him, and the people were afraid. They, put him, and he was totally naked, and he was, exhibiting it. And a child said, hey, you are naked. You're not wearing invisible clothes, right? The child could see it, and then he felt embarrassed and realized, right? So something is very apparent and clear, right? So anyway, you go into the and you become, yes, when you're in it, you lose yourself, right? You don't feel any difference between you and because you merge. It's like a drop went into the ocean, became the ocean, right? Because it can't distinguish itself, but it still can come back as the drop into the body, and then so you became conditioned again. No, when you in that connection, you became that quality overwhelmed you, and you come back, and this is the final fruit. So people go into the non-dual experience and feel this is the highest level. It's not, because people are going into it, and I'm going into it, constantly, and I don't like to go into it. I don't go too much into it, right? So I like because I want to experience normal life, right? And I believe that the final liberation is where you understand that there is a God who is, because you experienced it by going into it, it's so vast and indescribable, right? It is infinite. You experience it for yourself, personally, right? Because seeing is believing, or experiencing is believing, right? When you're feeling it for yourself, then when you come back, you worship and develop your relationship with it. So the highest form is actually the easiest form. So all those Christians and the Jews and the Muslims who are just worshiping, and even the Hindus who are just falling and worshiping, the God, and they in the bhakti, like you get the Hanuman who was given all these potentials of gifts. Say, I'll give you this and this and this. He said, no, 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 I don't want all that. I just want to remain like this because I want to be independent and an individual, because I still want to worship you. I want to be a worshipper. I want to worship you. And ever since I embraced Islam, we are required to pray five daily prayers. Now it's 20 years since I embraced Islam. I've never missed any of my 5 daily prayers, right? Because this is why I went to Islam. Because I just want to bow down and pray to the Supreme Sufficient. I don't want to know who he is, because I'm not going to know who he. I mean, he's not a he or she, right? I'm not going to know, but we're just saying, metaphorically, okay, she, right? She. Don't know who she is, how vast she is, right? Let's put it that way, right? Why say he? And actually, the potential energy is, they said, pure consciousness, right? And the consciousness in action, creating the universe, and all, when God is in action, takes action, is in the feminine form, right? And appears as a goddess, as described by Paramahamsa Ramakrishna, right? He's called a Paramahamsa, that he saw the energy as a light, and then he went deeper and he wanted to see the form. It assumed the feminine form, right? The Kali, Dakshineshwar Kali form, and he saw it as the Adi Shakti, or the Adi Parashakti. There's so many names, right? They say different versions, different, it's the grace appears in a form and so forth to people. In Islam, they say it has no form, beyond form or anything, because some people can just call anything that is not God, God, because there can be entities that can come to you and lie to you that it is God, because it's appeared in front of you and it's like magical, and it looks so big in size, or like, and so forth, and suddenly you believe, right? So there are evil entities that, because humans are easy to delude, right? If they see something extraordinary, suddenly they want to worship it, right? And not that there is no God, right? But there are some devious spirits out there, right? And I know of these spirits as well, right? And they want to do this. So the final frontier is when you experience all that, to come down to worship Him. And still you need to live your normal life. You have to go to work, you have to do your struggles, and then there are ways to ease your struggle. There's mantras, that you can, these are like tools you can use, like armor, like when you're playing a game, right? You can get access to certain weapons, right, in the game, in the computer game. So when you have that, like the ballistic, weapon, you go ta 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 ta, and you're shooting, and then you get the special higher atomic weapons. You can go and blow the whole army apart, right? So when you get that type of, those are that is what the mantras do. They are power sources, energy sources. If even Muslims don't like the word mantra, it's okay, dhikr. right? There's so many types of dhikr in Islam. There's so many types of incantations in Christianity, right? That you can do, and mantras in Hinduism, right? Or incantations in affirmations, right? For those who are more scientific, affirmations, right? That you think positivity, and visualizations, right? To manifest the things that you want, the power of visualization. The more and more, you could make it stronger and stronger it appears, right? If you're consistent and focused on it, right? So not everyone get it because their visualization is not strong enough. But the practice of yoga meditation will strengthen it. So coming back to this non-dualism, nirvana experience, samadhi experience, and non-dual experience, I believe, is superior to the nirvana or samadhi experience, or not necessarily, because in nirvana they say you must ignore the bliss and so forth, right? To go deeper and deeper and higher, right? And in non-dual is the last challenge, right? The last challenge that you must know, because if you become lost, you're going to keep being born again until you realize that and once you worship, you say, okay, I want to surrender. You surrendered, and then you take the oath of allegiance. You can choose Judaism, you can choose, I don't know if a person can become a Jew. No one told me that Judaism is open to the public, right? So I'm not aware of that. But Christianity is open to the public. Anyone, can go and become a Christian and become baptized. Oh, anyone can choose to be a Muslim, right? It is a later thing. So you will become, you are forgiven, providing you just have to believe, right? You just go to church, you believe. That's the believe. I believe, and you have faith, and you yes, you'll go through normal life, not having the bliss experience and all that, but you will go into the afterlife. You will not be born again, and then on the day of judgment, you will be admitted to the never land, right? The amazing place where you're gonna, everything is amazing, the kingdom of heaven. And some people who are very devout, there's a intermediary heaven, right? Theoretically, right? We'll say that. But from those who believe nirvana, samadhi, no, after you must come down to worship. Don't come, the last ego is to say, I am God. It is the last ego that you need to break, right? Don't say I am God. Yes, you experienced, because you were together, you were given the experience of oneness with, you felt that oneness with the most beloved of everyone, right? Who created everything and takes care of everyone, no matter what you feel, he's the most beloved creature, right? But you come back and you want to worship him, right? And then you understand. And let me end with this poem written by Anonymous. You can Google it, it's available, right? And I'll paraphrase it. It's called Footprints in the Sand, right? This person, he saw in a dream, he had footprints in the sand, and then he noticed there was a stage where there were footprints, and the middle stage there was no footprints. I mean, only one, there was two sets of footprints, and there was a stage where there was only one set of footprints, and then there was two sets. And then he noticed that stage where there was only one set of footprints, it was the most difficult challenge of his life, right? And then he said, oh Lord, why did you abandon me in my most difficult moments? The God said, no, my child, I did not abandon you. I carried you at that time. So hope that information helps you. And remember, if you have any physiological, psychological, or spiritual problems, and you want to find out, the possibilities of energy healing, and you can connect with me and for a free consultation. Go to my website, yogawellness786.com, for contact information, and you can connect with me. It's a free consultation, and no obligation. And I can even give you some directives, right? Even if you're having some difficulties in your spiritual journey and so forth, if you connect with me, and I will try my best to respond to you, right? So my WhatsApp number is there, which means you can contact me on my WhatsApp, and I'll try to call you and answer those questions for you free.